I want to talk to you guys about switching from pantsing to planning and shifting gears between the two. I switch back and forth all the time. I think in general, I would love to be a pantser. I think that's my natural state of being, but then I run into walls, and I want to talk to you about some of those walls and one that I just hit in my own story. I'm doing what Delia S. Dawson says is making the head match the butt of my story. I've written all the way through. I really like my ending, and I went back to read the beginning, and the characters aren't consistent. Some of their motivations are a little muddy, and now that I know the ending, I'm going to go back and kind of fix up the beginning. And so I've been writing through the beginning of my story, and it's been going pretty well, and now I'm up to almost the point where it's going to join up, and I found myself having some problems. So the first thing, I started writing this chapter, and the first problem that I noticed was that I had a lot of fade-ins and fade-outs. And this is something that can be a great tool if used effectively. It's a way to get rid of the shoe leather of people walking from one place to another. You don't have to talk about people sleeping. You don't have to talk about, bathroom breaks. You can just fade out and come back to a different time. That's okay once in a chapter, but I realized that I had it 3 or 4 times, which meant that the story was just a little bit disjointed, and enough was happening during those times. And then the second thing I noticed was that I was really missing conflict. Even though there are many different unique characters coming from lots of different cultures and backgrounds and motivations, they all were seemingly working towards the exact same goal, which doesn't provide very interesting reading. If they're all on the same page, this chapter shouldn't even exist. And then the third and final red flag for me was when I saw that I didn't know the rules of my own world well enough to write this chapter. This red flag happened because I was writing, and I realized that I didn't know what needed to happen in this chapter, what they needed to find out in this chapter to be able to set up for the next chapter, where they're going to be going into a legal room. So I made myself a specific list of questions that were coming up for me and that I needed to answer before I tried writing the chapter again. If you're having any of these 3 problems, if you keep fading out to black, and coming back to a different point in the scene, if you are struggling with the characters not having any conflict, if everyone agrees what needs to happen, that probably needs to be taken a closer look at. Or third, if you find that you actually need to stop and consider a little bit more the world of your story and what this chapter means within the broader scope of your story and the scope of the world you're creating. So that's my advice for you. I hope that helps in diagnosing any problem spots you may have, and good luck. Happy writing.